I would like to welcome you to Biscon, now called Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump. I am a pagan Indian, and my name is Little Leaf. Inaksuyopok. I'll do this part in our language here. Okay. Nitanik ko pita pikwa. Nitsipika ni kuanas. Ken no mo'i nitawahsan na nanom. Piska. Mochikais kahpusuits. I welcome you. We are here at the Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, and we are located in the Porcupine Tail Hills. And the reason why we call it Porcupine Tail Hills, the hills up here look like the tail of the porcupine. It is traditional territory of the three tribes that we have. The pagan, or Piikani proper, is the largest of the three tribes in terms of number. And then our fellow group would be the Blackfoot, now called Blackfoot. These are all English names, new names. Blackfoot, now transcribed to Siksika. And the other group, brothers and sisters, the Blood tribe, proper name, Kiana. We are now called the Blackfoot Confederacy, which is a new Western term. Our proper name is Saukitapi. Sauki refers to one of the 5 geographical regions in North America called the Plains. That's Sauki, flat. We don't have a white man, we don't have a black man, purple or pink. We got human beings. And the name that we have for us, human beings, is Matapi. Ni Chitapi, meaning one of. I wear this. I wear this to always show people that we are one. There are no differences. So, we are Saukitapi. I take the root word from Matapi, Saukitapi, Tapi, which is a being. We are beings of the flat, Saukitapi. I'm giving you the practical side, our history. And I think it's great to have that. When you have the practical side, people start learning. And learning opens a lot of doors, not everything. And that creates understanding. And from understanding, then we start looking at beautiful things that we always talk about from the top of our head, like values. And one of them is love. We are spiritual people. Love is our power. That's our strength. It'll wipe out anything. Get rid of it. If you use that gift. And God gave us that gift. Apistutoki. We say, Napiwa apistutoki. We all have that one entity. It's for us to have it, to use it, to live by it. But somehow we don't. So, Saukitapi, that's who we are. We are beings of the flats, the plains. We have one language, and we have one way, a culture made up by the land. The land makes up our way of life. Nipetapi uksini, we call it. Like the language is made up by the land too. To live, to understand our whole being, the culture, chronologically, every part of it, you need to learn your language. If you don't, you're looking in a window, trying to explain this, trying to explain tobacco, sweet grass, So our job, and it takes work, is to learn it. Then you'll begin understanding. That's why it's so important for the nations around the world to retain your identity. That is your way of life. Very special. They're all beautiful. The cultures, all languages are the same. So, going back, now I will tell you our location. But before I do that, I just want to compliment the district here, the Western thought, what's in our books, what's in our curricula, what's in our approved text. We talk about another tribe that's involved with us in terms of the treaty that was done quite recently. We have history here. We got artifacts, and I'll quote the scientists, artifacts that they find here. History that goes back 5,700 years. And that's the scientists finding mummy cave points right here at the Biscayne, now known as Head Smashed In, Buffalo Jump. That's 6,000 years we've been here. Later on, not even under the ground, but underwater, they found 2 more artifacts, which are Scott's Bluff points. And they have a range from 7,000 to 12,000 years. We've been here, yes, doing very well for thousands of years. As a quick note, in this area we first came across a European brother by the name of Lavre in the year 1743. Less than 300 years ago, we made contact. After that, shortly thereafter, we had a treaty here. There's 11 overall in Canada. We did Treaty 7 here with the 3 tribes. There are 2, I must mention, that we adopted. They were involved with the treaty. This is a peace treaty. There's no written treaty. We've led ourselves to believe there's a written treaty, that it's sitting somewhere in the House of Lords in England. There is nothing. If you see something, it's made up. It was a handshake, and we didn't even talk about land. The so-called, so long as the sun shines, the river flows, the grass grows, and they missed a big part, and as solid as the mountains that will never move. At that time, there was a tribe that was involved, and we adopted them. We call them the Sarcees. Recently, they changed their name to Tsatsena. They're Beaver Indians from up north. They're going through here, going to the southwestern states. They're the Nez Perce Indians. The other tribe that we adopted would be the Stony tribe. And those are Nakota Sioux. A lot of Sioux came up, filtered in what is now Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, here in Alberta. So this is modern. So the 3 tribes. Now I'm going to illustrate to you, and they said a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's very true. You look at a man or a woman, they smile at you. It's acceptance, care, sharing, all the things that we talk about, love. Loving people. So here's my picture. I have a map here of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and of course 49 parallel, United States of America, Canada being here. And next to Montana, you have Wyoming. Now we had the range of the mountains. In the old days, we went with landmarks. We don't have these longitudes, latitudes, meridians, degrees. We don't have that. That came with the New World. So, the pagans, being the hugest group, we filter right from Wyoming to Edmonton, Blackfoots, and the Blood Indians. The territory is marked off by the mountains to the west side, and they're about 30 miles up here. And we harvest, we hunt, we get a lot of material from there. We're hunters and gatherers, that's what we are. The ground has wonderful, wonderful vegetation. We have wild vegetables like turnips, onions, just a whole array of them. We've got all kind of wild berries right here. We've got raspberries, gooseberries, strawberries, buffalo berries, Saskatoon, choke cherries, name it. So we go to the mountains all the way up, and just to give you an idea of where we're at, the northern boundary where we'd go up to would be Edmonton, Alberta, the North Saskatchewan River, the big river. North Saskatchewan eventually drains into Hudson Bay, some of it into Lake Winnipeg, but that's like a end. Now we go down south into Montana, Wyoming. Northwest corner of Wyoming, your rivers always start with the highlands, the mountains, the watersheds. You got the Yellowstone River coming out of Wyoming, goes into Montana through Billings, Yellowstone River, and joins the Great Missouri right here. That's a southern boundary. East, we go into Saskatchewan, Regina. We call this place, and the Crees know it, we call this place Minipokek. There's a lot of, I'm giving you a history practical, it's not nowhere. Minipokek. That's the area of the three tribes. This is home. And every part's got a story. That's how it's intertwined, and that's who we are. For thousands of years. So with that, this place here, head smashing, we call it Bisca. And if I take the new way, the Western way of writing, with your alphabet system of vowels and consonants, we can't use all of them. The linguists, again, lead the way to try to explain our language, and you can't do it. But you can give it a good shot. So this is what they say. Certain letters will be used, okay? And then there are some sounds that we have in our language, whether it's, bilabial, interdental, dental, alveolar, okay? Goes beyond that. Some sounds are made in our throat, and some are just aspirations. So they make same symbols for those. So they say, how would you call this place? They say, okay, our practical, our culture here, our way of life, we call this place not head smashing. We call it Bisca. So they try to spell it, and with their Western way, they spell it P-I-S-S, like piss. And Kan, K-A-N, stress over the A, sounds like a U, Biscan. Biscan, and some would add a pre-word to that, prefix, they say, Nina Biscan, Napi Biscan. This is what we call it. Bisca. Why do we call it Bisca? We hunt. We're hunters. We hunt the buffalo, and we kill hundreds right here all at one time. Very quickly one morning in what is now what we call fall time, we say, oh, it's a stuko, the evening time of the year. Why do we do it then? Because they get to feed and fatten through the summer, and they're all within the area. The Europeans got here, they estimated, they're big with numbers. They want to know how many gophers were here, how many beaver were here, how many buffalo were here. Well, when they looked at buffalo, they estimated 60 million to 80 million buffalo. That was our world. The buffalo here. Inil, we call it. Deaths. Ini means deaths. They die for us. That's the relationship. So, There's a lot of them. We hunt only, we do the buffalo jump only in what we call fall time. Now, new term. We say, oh, just do evening time of the year. Also, it's starting to get cooler. You need the cool logic, common sense, colder weather. You got to process a lot of stuff. So when you kill the animal, you drag them one morning over the cliff itself here, and we work in units, no individuals. We don't have kings and queens. We don't have military leaders. We don't have brain people that have geniuses. We don't have that. God gave everybody a talent, and you know your talent, and you'll come in and use that talent to help out. So we got tool makers, we got butchers, you got people working together, and that's how we work. Back then we had no cancer. We had no sugar diabetes. We didn't have all those diseases. We didn't even have COVID-19. Because of how we carried out. You respect the land, the water, the air, and the light, and had that respect, like what they call the golden rule. You carry that out, not just with us, but all living. That's why for us, everything's living. You're going to get that in return. And guess what? We're going to do very well. But as soon as you try and fix this earth to fit your needs, and you play that person of the maker, it's going to turn around, you're going to hurt yourself, and you're going to be gone. We don't have sodium, that'll kill you. Sugars, you got to be careful. So Bisgon, very special. It also gives you a lot of raw material for the oncoming winter months, because you're hunkered down. It gets nice and fresh here, maybe 35 below when it gets pretty cold, 20 usually. You hunker down, you got to make tools. For example, here's a stone axe. Bisont head, choke cherry wood, and an overlay of hide. Well, these are things that you construct. Your thread, which is sinew, it comes from your muscle tendons. You can feel them right here. They're like string, your hamstring. You pull all those out. You process that, make them into what we call here stitching thread, sinew. And it's absolutely wonderful strength. Bisont, I just had to flake it. It's razor sharp. The Indian back then, we don't have whiskers. See an Indian, no hair. But I bet if we had hair, you can shave with it. Razor sharp. This axe. As a little boy, I watched cowboy shows with John Wayne, Hollywood. Bless their hearts, they tried to present a show, a way of life with all the wrong things. We don't do this. Tomahawks. This is an axe. Got a practical use. You chop wood with it, brush, and when you're processing the animal, you got to take the joints out. Your knife can't do it, so you got to sever it for butchering to protect yourself. We got raw material, and through the winter months, we do that. We have two parts to a year. The traditional way we have is situé, the cold part, and situé, warm, hot. We don't have 4 seasons. These are all westernized. You can't westernize your way of life, but we have learned that from the New World. We don't have 65 and a quarter days, nor do we take that quarter day and add it up over 4 years and have one full day and plug it into the month of February. We don't have that. And say that's a leap year. That's when people are attracted to each other and chase each other. I can understand their story of life, but I respect that. That's their life. We have a life of 13 moons. And each moon you know exactly what you're doing, and half, and it's marked off like right now, this is September, it's the Chikyotsa, the mid part, not two, so the moon. We say Awakasich, which is the Awakasiki, so the deer rut, okay, halfway. A little more further down the line, the days to come, you're going to hear the thunder. That'll mark off the solstice of the cold. And that'll go into what new term, what we call into the new year. And about March, sometimes even February, March, April, you'll hear another thunder. That'll identify the warm. So you got the cold and the warm. So that's how we live, with the earth underneath here, and then the kakatos, it's the heavens above, stars, the sun. So that we always know exactly where things are at. So with that, we do the hunt in the fall time. But through those 13 moons, okay, we're hunting also. Food is most important to us, okay? And it will always be important to us as human beings. I can make up a world based on what we have. Economy, we got a capitalistic world. You can have lots of money, lots of material, but can you eat your money? We call the earth mother. Women are the power, the source, and the way. This is the power, source, and way. It gives us food. Along with it is the water, the air, and the light. Very simple. Respect. I cannot own this land. It owns me. Because when I take my last breath in life and I expire, everything I have stays on earth. The gold, the money, the property, so-called, the land. It owns me. That's our traditional way. We respect it because it owns me. I can't own it. So you treat it with respect. It gives you everything. Food. Food, that's what we survive with. If it stops that, all of us are dead. And you know that all too well. So we say, Sipatapiyo, the giver of life, and everything comes from the earth. My axe, my straw hat, the can, metal, everything comes from the earth. Spiritually, in here, our life, that will go. We have God. We always had, the New World came with a big book, a Bible. And I learned it well as an individual. And I was brought to a day school. And I started to learn the Western way. I learned English. English is a second language. And then you start learning the Western way. But very important, a big block of it, sort of the mainstay to the whole system, is Christianity. It came with a Bible. The King James Version, the Old Testament. New Testament came out to fit the new world as it moved and so-called progressed. So, in it, no matter what to today, they talk about God. And a lot of people know that. God. And then the second coming, Jesus Christ, which we base our Gregorian calendar on today, Christianity, Pope Gregory, 365 and a quarter days. They talk about God, and second coming Jesus was born. For us, if I can take that entity, that power, we always knew and we know it. We don't talk about it, just honor it. You don't really say the name. There's so much respect. We say apisutoki napi. And that's who we live with thousands of years. Live by the way. When I meet a person, in our traditional way, we'd say, Oki. Oki can include hello. It's a whole lot more. It's a greeting. But most important for the people here, you look at a person, you're going to smile at them before you even speak. That is beautiful because there's acceptance, good feelings, love. It's all put into that. Just that expression from your face. You can move people around by the way you have facial expression. People can understand who you are. And then we use sign language. We wave. That's how we communicate. When we met Lover Andre, did we know French? When he said bonjour? And we said, okay, did he understand that? No. But what we understand was looking at each other and smiling and waving. So you encompass the facial expression, the gesturing, and then your speech to convey the communication. So I will wave and say, okay. We don't have a goodbye because it's not in our world. We say, Kikatamatsin, I'll see you again. Because now we know each other like I know Diane and Eric here. We'll always know each other. So with that, now I welcome. I point to my heart. Our heart is right here, a little to the left. I point to it in sincerity, and I say this long word, Kitsikitamatsin. That's the one we use here. It can mean many things. One of them, I welcome you. I'm happy to see you. I welcome you with an open heart. And I have something. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. It's better to give than to receive. Remember, we're not going with nothing. Better to give. And that's how we lived for thousands of years, helping each other. It's in our word, it's in our world, our language, our expression, our tone, our gesturing. That's what God is about. That's what Jesus is about. That's what Napi Apistoki is about. We walk that life. For those thousands of years, this place was pristine, beautiful. It still is. So with that, we are very spiritual people. We know and you pray. I learned in that school about God and Jesus, and I plugged it into mine, and I understood. That I understood. So if I'm an altar boy with the Roman Catholics, I understand what they're talking about. Because we got the same. You had to walk what you're saying. You can't just talk and say, I got this, and not follow it, but just to justify and use a rationale to your actions. It is no. Your walk is very different. And that's real. Remember, Nichitapi, we're real, we're one. But somewhere along the line, we've gone off to the extreme sometimes. And we're not believing we don't know. So with that, when I pray, I say, Ayo, Ayo, Abistoki Napi. Ikatsumatio Kriskitsip. Ayo, Spummo Kinanoxisikois. Kimmo. I'm touching base because my heart starts moving, because that's where you're coming from. Not from the top of the head and say something that you're not really hearing. And I've done that. For my penance, as I go to communion, and if I'm told, say 10 Hail Marys and 1 Our Father, I say them really fast. Hail Mary, full of grace, Lord God is with thee, blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm trying to get through it quickly so I can get rid of the 10 Hail Marys and the 1 Our Father, who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. It would work if I slow down and know every word I'm saying, and I say, in the name of the Father. Who am I talking about? God, Jesus. I'm before you. And of the Son, who's the Son? Well, the Son comes, Jesus. The Holy Spirit. You're a Spirit, Holy, you're with us, you're in us, mostly like the Spirit. You see, it takes time to pray like that. That's good, I learned that, but you slow down and take your time, come from the heart, not from here. It's like the Indian. You're going to be crying when you're praying. Thank you. That was the way of life. Before you cross the river, you'll get off and pray to the water. The water is alive. When you get across to the shore, to those berries, you're going to pick those Saskatoons. You're going to stop and take your tobacco and you'll pray, put it in there. The plant loves you. It's waiting for you all this time to come and ask for help. You're going to go there, all the little synapses, electricity within the leaves and branches. You say, my friend, you come to ask for my help. I've been waiting for you. I'm going to give it to you. You put tobacco in the base of in the soil of the bush, Saskatoons, whatever, choke cherries. Now you start picking them. That's what it's about. Respect, honor, pray, give thanks. So, with us, Mother Earth, the great power, we are one. This is head smashed in, now called Bisca. I'll give you a little tidbit. Head smashed in does exist. The map I showed, every part's got a story. It's all intertwined. And out there somewhere, like a grain within the territory, is a head smashed in. We say, it's a part, it's skutio. Must. Must. It's a location site. Because every part of this area, you know it. You may be camped away. And this, it's about it's up here. There's a creek up here, larger creek, goes across the highway and it makes a 90-degree turn from west to south, west to east, and then it hits from north to south, like a 90-degree turn. Well, The old people, and I was very fortunate, very lucky, I would say lucky, to be totally enculturated in a way of life. And I was very lucky to have a mom and dad. And they had big families. And they're Indian. We spoke the language. We hunt, like what I said, we eat and we plant and we collect from the gardens. Then you had all kind of berries, roots, seeds. Those are all wonderful, under the ground, medicine. They don't so much teach you, this is the lesson, this is our objective, this is how we're going to do it. No. I learned that later from school. They'll walk with you. They won't tell you, just tell you here. They'll be cutting, maybe skinning the deer that they killed. You learn. And then they give you a knife, go. That means go ahead. You start working. If they eat the kidney, of course I want to eat some. So they'll stop and they say, this place is called this, and they start telling a story. And that place, when they brought me there as a little boy, that head smashed in, that creek goes down. On one side, because of erosion, you got a bank. And it's quite high, maybe at times it goes up maybe 25, 30 feet. It hits south bank. The water's deeper right at the bottom of the bank. Then it shallows out. And here's a nice meadow. And they said, long time ago, they don't tell you years and all that. We don't have this Gregorian calendar, like I said. Back then, people were camping. We move from area to area. And you don't camp there long. You leave. That way, everything's beautiful. The grass, after a couple of rains, looks like there's nothing was there. Just beautiful, pristine. You don't want to start building. You wreck things like that. Back then, you don't have big families. You only have maybe 2 children. If you look at our display on the 4th floor, that's a real teepee. We don't have these gaudy big teepees like Calgary Stampede, Pendleton Roundup. That's a show. In the old days, you had small teepees, like the one up there on the 4th floor. Made of buffalo hide. We got the real stuff here at the this gun, head smashed in. That's real. Made of buffalo hide. The elk hide you can do. We have one here too. You only have 2 children because you got to respect that land. This land can only feed a group. So it's uncalled for, unseen to have 4, 5, 10 children, 13 children. No, you don't do that. You got to be careful, because if that land doesn't produce, you're going to end up in trouble. So back then you have 2 children, teepees smaller, and you got to move. And they're heavy. I'll tell you, they're heavy hide. So with that, we call that location Itsipatitskinskotsio. So if I'm in Calgary, Mohkinsis we call Calgary because the Elbow River, Mohkinsis, and I'm traveling this way, and my friend, maybe a tribesman or from a different tribe, tells me, where are you going? I'll tell him, tonight I will sleep at, you see, the skull, mushed in. Then he say, tomorrow, where are you going? Tell him, I'm going to the South Pagan. And those are the ones, because we go from Montana right down to Wyoming. He said, I'll go with you. I said, tomorrow. albeit head smashed in noontime, midday. Sure enough, he'll appear. He went to get his stuff, he'll appear, and we keep walking. You say, how long can you stay there? I said, two winters, 2 years, and he'll come back. You see, these are locations, all of them have a story. And for some reason, that story was told, and again, some people would have the stories. Most of it's lost through assimilation, forced assimilation. And I respect that. It happened. People don't know about themselves, you know. You need to know your lineage, where you're from, mom and dad's side, and the families. It's a relationship. So with that, somebody knew the story, and that name was taken from that location to here, and it's probably works well with the new ways of marketing, brand names, because it draws attention, and people come for that name. It grabs them, and it helps with the economic way that we're operating today, so we make a lot of money here. And that helps with the government. So in a lot of ways, the legacy left here, those people, the legacy they left, the beautiful life, and all the way down to now, it's still helping the government as they take the money to help with transportation, our social programs, salaries. They're still taking care of us. That's the beauty. So a little bit of history that I have shared with you, and it'll be nice to take the practical side of every facet of our way of life and to bring it across. Because once people understand, then we start not being fearful, and we start bringing in those real things that we should live by, supporting and loving each other. And that promotes, that's what growth is all about. So I hope I was able to give you a little bit of the prehistory, pre-contact, and I touched on to contact period with La Vérendrye.